As the U.S. continues to issue sanctions and tariffs, alienating allies across the globe, other countries are hoping to strengthen ties on issues regarding security and, of course, economic growth. Currently, the Development of Parliamentism International Forum is taking place in Moscow. It started June 4th and ends on the 5th. To help us get a more international look at the world is RT's Caleb Maupin, joining us all the way from Moscow. Caleb, thank you for joining us. You gave us some remarks there, and if we have time, I want to ask you about those because they were really eloquent. But before we dig in, can you explain to all the boombusters out there who may not know what the forum is and who was in attendance?
Well, over 100 different countries were represented, and this was essentially a gathering of lawmakers from around the world, people that hold seats in parliaments and national assemblies and legislative bodies in different countries, and they gathered to discuss and talk about the ongoing issues facing lawmakers in the current atmosphere. 100 different countries represented, and they gathered here in Moscow. It was quite a conference. We heard many different voices from many different corners of the globe. A lot of exciting stuff. Now, it's interesting to note, we had speakers from Indonesia. We had speakers from both North and South Korea were represented here. Now, the United States was invited. Both houses of the U.S. Congress, the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, were both invited to participate, but they unfortunately declined. So the USA did not send any lawmakers to this huge international conference.
I know you were very active. It's late at night over there now, and I know you tweeted from over there. But one of the big things to make international headlines was, of course, President Trump's announcement to hit allied nations and various other nations with tariffs, and there in Russia with economic sanctions, which have been going on for several years. What has been the reaction from the attendees with regard to the latest round of Trump sanctions and tariffs?
Well, we heard from the chairman of the Russian State Duma. He opened the conference welcoming legislators from around the world. And when he spoke, he specifically called out the economic sanctions, described them as basically an attempt to, bully countries around the world into doing what the USA wants. And from there, he actually said that this shows that Russia needs to strengthen the Eurasian Economic Union and try to work with other countries around the world to kind of overwhelm and overcome what's being pushed by the United States. Furthermore, many countries emphasize that the continued use of sanctions by U.S. leaders shows the need to build up the BRICS and the alternative bodies that are emerging in the global economy, and that basically, as countries see the USA impose these tariffs and sanctions and different things, that this shows that basically countries need to start trading with each other. There needs to be more of a what you might call just kind of countries trading with each other and not depending on the United States.
Yeah, give and take always works best in a free market, and we like that in the U.S., and we should embrace it a little bit more than we have, it seems to me. But what other economic discussions have been happening there? Did there seem to be any particular economic policies discussed between the attendees?
Well, in Russia, their state-run mining corporations have been working with different countries, especially in the African continent, to help develop their own manufacturing and their own industries. For example, we heard from Guinea, the African nation of Guinea. The speaker of their parliament described how, Russia has been there working with them to develop their own mining companies and their own mining system, and that they're actually helping Guinea to work toward its long-term goal of developing and producing its own aluminum domestically, and that would be a huge achievement for this historically impoverished African country to have its own aluminum manufacturing, and that Russia has taken great lengths to help them work toward this ultimate goal. And so we heard a lot about Russia's involvement in economic development in different countries around the world, specifically in, whether it's related to Gazprom, Rosneft, and their role in the energy markets, but also in mining and metal manufacturing.
Well, it seems, Caleb, that maybe Russia and China are singing from a similar song sheet with regard to trying to develop economic ties with others in hopes of creating better alliances, while the U.S. is perhaps pulling back. Caleb, I want to shift back to what you told the audience there just briefly before we run out of time. I watched what you said and, again, think it was eloquent, but can you give our viewers a quick taste of what you told the audience in attendance there?
Well, I was invited to participate in this session regarding the issue of media and freedom of speech and how these kind of things play out. And we heard from a lot of different speakers, a speaker from Sri Lanka, a speaker from Burundi, a speaker from Venezuela, talking about the moves that they're taking regarding social media and news and ensuring free speech, but also stopping terrorism. And I got up and I talked about the pressure that's been placed on this TV network, RT, and how it kind of shows a little bit of hypocrisy on the part of our leaders in the United States. And the remarks were very well received by those in attendance. Many are very interested in the controversies surrounding RT in the USA.
Caleb Maupin, thanks. And if folks are interested in Caleb's Moscow remarks, you can find them at youtube.com/RTAmerica.